Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to another edition of the Pioneers Weekly Football Preview. We're going to start things off with Pioneer Prep sports reporter Greg Buckner talking about this weekend's high school slate. And we start with who else but Reed City. Picked up a big win last weekend during this tough stretch of games for them. Newaygo. Last week they had Lakeview. This week they traveled to Chippewa Hills to take on the Warriors. 3-2 on the year, fighting for their playoff lives after a big win over Big Rapids last week. Greg, can you talk a little bit about this game? Give us a feel, first of all, for Reed City, a team that has really been through the ringer the last couple of weeks. Do they have it in them for one more big win that will pretty much all but guarantee them at least a share of the CSAA title?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they've kind of went through the gauntlet here in the CSAA, just team after team after team at the top of the division, but yet they're still standing there at 5-0. But I think looking at last week's game against Lakeview, they gave up some big plays, and their defense does that, but they're a little bit more of a bend but don't break. Monty Price talks about the kids say they know points really aren't scored on first down there, and as long as they're doing their jobs inside the 20s, they feel like they have a shot in every game. So I think looking at this Chip Hills game, it's going to be just more of the same, trying to establish their dominance on the ground there. But I think going with that, Chippewa Hills does have an impressive linebacking core that can kind of match up with them in the running game that I don't think they've really ran into so far this year.
Well, talking about Chippewa Hills, last week was really able to establish the ground game really for the first time, extensively carrying the ball against the Cardinals. Quentin Gossett with a big game there. That's maybe going to open some things up in the passing game. How big of a factor is that for the Chippewa Hills offensive line and the running game to gaining a little bit of confidence?
That's huge because, talking to Coach Joe's over there at Chippewa Hills, he said the biggest thing they got to do against Reed City is if you want to beat them, you can't turn the ball over. You've got to keep that explosive offense out the field. So the recipe for them to win this game is going to be pound the rock, keep controlling that clock, and keeping Reed City's offense over there on the sideline. I think if they can do that, and like you said, if they're in the game in the fourth quarter, they might have a chance there at home.
All right, your thoughts? Got a prediction for this one?
I'm not going to break trend. I'm going to have to still go with Reed City, but I do think it's going to be a well-fought, highly tightly contested game there that will come down in the fourth quarter, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I've also got Reed City winning this one. Chippewa Hills, just not quite the amount of firepower offensively that we see at Reed City.
Yep.
I think this is a close game, and Chippewa Hills will keep this close, being at home. And this is an improved Chippewa Hills team from the beginning of the year, so it'll be an interesting matchup. I see Reed City wins by a couple touchdowns. One more game that we'll be looking at in the high school ranks this week: Big Rapids traveling to Morley Stanwood for homecoming for the Mohawks, who have gotten a little bit of a roll here in the last couple of weeks with some wins. A win over White Cloud, and also picking up a win the week before. Can you talk a little bit about Morley Stanwood and where this team is at, kind of heading forward and establishing a little bit of momentum after a tough start to the season?
Looking at the Mohawks this week, I think looking at these last few games, they've been able to get a little bit of confidence underneath their belts. And this is really a tale of two teams that are going the opposite way. Big Rapids, they've kind of struggled, and there's been some talk of some team disunity, I guess you would put it. So I think this is really a testament to how much Morley's just been sticking with it, and they've been able to build up some confidence, get those few wins going. So I think they're going to keep that going come Friday. And, like I said, got a really Big Rapids team coming in here, and it's kind of a put-up or shut-up game for them. But I think with the homecoming festivities going on there at Morley, I think they'll have the added motivation to get this one done.
Okay. Prediction on this one?
I'm going to have to go with Morley Stanwood in this one. Probably, I'd say it'd come down to a touchdown there in the fourth quarter, but I do think it's going to be Morley in the end.
Yeah, I think this one's really up for grabs. Looking at these two teams, they kind of played the same opponents at this point in the year. A lot of the same results, very similar results actually. When you look at this, I think the fact that this is a homecoming game for Morley Stanwood, a team that is starting to build up a little bit of momentum, gives them a little bit of an edge here. So I've got them winning a really tight one. But this could be one of the better games of the year against two teams that probably not going to be in the postseason.
Definitely.
All right, sports fans, now taking a look at the NFL. We're looking at the Detroit Lions, 3-1. This has been a lot more fun than you thought it would be. Looking at from the beginning of the season, the expectations people had for the Lions. Now you're sitting at 3-1 atop the NFC North, heading to Green Bay with a big road game this week against the Packers. How have the Lions exceeded a lot of people's expectations so far this season, Brandon?
They've been able to find the weapons that they need to with Calvin Johnson, Reggie Bush when he's healthy, and Joik Bell. Even despite Burleson's injury, they were able to come out strong. And what also helped last week was the defense stepped up. You had turnovers, and they won the turnover game.
Yeah, looking at the Packers this weekend, obviously, very pass-heavy offense, high-powered offense. They can spread the ball around to a lot of different weapons. This is a big game for Detroit's secondary and the defensive line to be able to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, which has, been a couple of the strengths of the defense so far this year. Do you see that continuing this weekend against a Packers team that, kind of is bread and butter is the passing game?
I think the Packers, for the last 22 years, have been able to hold this over the Lions' head. And why not? I mean, for the last 22 years, we've lived through the Lions' continual failures over and over. So coming into this week, with that high-powered offense that Green Bay has, Detroit's got to match it, and Detroit's got to bring some more intensity. And their defense has to step up once again.
Thoughts on this weekend? You got the Lions winning, I'm assuming.
I actually don't. The only reason is it is Lambeau. It is history. I have history on my side here, but they are much improved, and I expect a very close game. And I expect Detroit to go over there and actually try to win and come out firing.
Okay. Well, for the sake of variety for the show, I'm going to go with the Lions because why not, right? Everything else that I've gotten wrong with them this year. So we're going to continue that trend. Hopefully, the reverse jinx will I don't know, bring them some good karma or something. I think the Lions are going to be able to move the ball on this Green Bay defense, which has not been good this year. Still plenty of issues there. Some tension between Aaron Rodgers and the coaching staff over some of the play calling, things like that. This is not a traditionally high-powered Packers team. They haven't really found their way yet. I see the Lions coming in and sneaking out a win here, and from there, who knows what can happen.
It'll really tell a lot about this team, and if they can win in Green Bay, they can get some separation in the NFC North.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Pioneer Weekly Football Preview. As always, you can check out our picks and our high school football coverage in the weekend edition of the Pioneer or at bigrapidsnews.com.